Coming up today, South Korea convinces Uganda to terminate its defense and security cooperation with North Korea. Seoul also prepares to unveil its new official development assistance program in the East African country. South Korea's 20th National Assembly gets to work from today. The three major parties have agreed to cooperate to ensure bills get passed after the lack of progress during the 19th Assembly. Plus, visiting UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon makes a trip to the traditional heartland of Korea's ruling party, adding to speculation he may be planning to run for the presidency next year. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Monday, the 30th of May. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. We start with President Park Geun-hye's trip to East Africa. After summit talks, Uganda's president announced on Sunday that his country, traditionally a close ally of North Korea, will completely halt all military cooperation with Pyongyang to comply with international sanctions on the regime. Our presidential office correspondent Song Ji-sun reports from Kampala.
A landmark announcement that may lead other North Korean allies to follow suit. At summit talks with President Park Geun-hye, Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni vowed to fully implement the UN sanctions on North Korea, including cooperation in the areas of security, military, and police, saying that the UN Security Council resolutions are widely supported by the international community.
Uganda has been friendly to North Korea, but it's starting to fully implement the UN sanctions on Pyongyang, and it'll encourage other African nations to join the move.
Museveni has visited North Korea 3 times himself, and Uganda has been considered a key ally in Africa for Pyongyang. But Uganda came out against North Korea's nuclear development in March, and President Museveni has often pointed to South Korea as an ideal example of economic development, hailing the Semaul-Undung rural development model implemented by President Park's father, Park Chung-hee. At Sunday's summit, the two leaders also agreed to enhance practical cooperation. Uganda is a key nation to entering Africa, as it is a member of the free trade blocs like the East African Community and the Tripartite Free Trade Area. In addition to building Uganda's infrastructure and boosting bilateral trade, Seoul will also share its experience in high-tech areas ranging from content production to disease management. After sharing the common stance of pressing North Korea to denuclearize, Presidents Park and Museveni will meet again at the launch of Korea-Aid on Monday. Seoul's new official development assistance program, which offers mobile health care, food and cultural services, will reach rural areas across Uganda. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News, Kampala.
Now, in addition to meeting with Uganda's leader, President Park Geun-hye also found time to launch a Korea-Uganda business forum on Sunday. More than 200 business leaders from the two countries were in attendance to discuss the potential opportunities. Kwon Jung-oh with the details.
Like the speedy Impala, President Park Geun-hye said she hoped Korean and Ugandan businesses could find quick success working together. President Park launched the latest bilateral business forum on Sunday, bringing together some 250 business leaders from the two countries. 72 Korean businesses were in attendance, representing industries ranging from engineering to medical and biotech. President Park expressed a hope that through the exchange, the two countries can help each other in various ways, including agricultural development.
잘 아시다시피 한국은 지난 70년대 새마을 운동을 기반으로 성공적인 농촌 개발과 농업 발전 경험을 가지고 있습니다. 새마을 운동이 우간다에서도 체계적이고 지속적으로 진행된다면 우간다는 아프리카의 곡창으로 도약할 것이라고 확신합니다.
The president also said she's looking forward to Korea's involvement in Uganda's infrastructure projects, such as airports, energy and ICT, in addition to expanding Korea's presence in the medical and content industries. This is the latest in a series of business forums that have been arranged for each country during President Park's visits to East Africa and France. All the forums are accompanied by one-on-one business meeting events where local buyers and firms can meet with prospective Korean partners face-to-face. At Friday's one-on-one event in Ethiopia, some 240 meetings were held and 13 deals worth a total of $24 million were signed. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Now staying with our coverage of President Park's trip to Africa, and the South Korean leader has called for more cultural cooperation with Uganda as she watched some special performances by both countries on her last day in Uganda. Our Kim Il-kyun with the details.
On her final day in Uganda, President Park Geun-hye urged further cooperation with Uganda, especially in the cultural sector. The statement came as the Korean leader watched cultural performances on Sunday, including a b-boy dance, a taekwondo display, and traditional performances from Korea and Uganda. Around 1,500 people took part in the event held at a hotel in Kampala. They included Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se and his Ugandan counterpart, Henry Oryem Okello. President Park said art and culture has the power to tear down walls between people and create friendly relations.
우리 양국이 앞으로 문화 교류에도 더욱 힘을 쏟아서 양국 국민들이 마음을 나눌 수 있으면 좋겠습니다. 한국 정부에서도 오늘과 같은 이런 어떤 공연 등을 통해서 양국 국민들이 서로 소통하고 하나가 되는 그런 기회를 더욱 자주 만들 수 있도록 노력해 나가겠습니다. 웨바렌요.
President Park is more than halfway through a three-nation swing of East Africa. She is scheduled to travel to Nairobi on Monday to forge deeper economic and diplomatic ties with Kenya through summit talks with Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. Kim Il-kyun, Arirang News.
Now, in the rest of the day's news, the 20th National Assembly kicks off its four-year term today, and all three main political parties convened general meetings this morning. Starting with the ruling Saenuri Party, it has confirmed the appointment of the former chairman of the Government Public Ethics Committee, Kim Hee-ok, as its new interim leader. Kim said he will do his best to lead the party while instituting reforms until the party convention in July. At its meeting, the main opposition Minju Party of Korea stressed the need to focus on the economy. Floor leader Woo Sang-ho urged the ruling party to wrap up negotiations within the next 2 to 3 days to fill key parliamentary posts such as National Assembly Speaker and the leaders of the standing committees. The minor opposition People's Party also discussed its policy agenda and its role as a swing vote in the new assembly. Visiting UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon wraps up his 6-day visit to Korea today after attending the UN NGO conference and a press meeting in the southeastern city of Gyeongju. Extra attention is being focused on what Ban might say during the press conference this afternoon, his last official schedule in Korea, as his remarks during the visit have stirred up some speculation that he might run for the South Korean presidency next year. The UN chief met privately with former Prime Minister Kim Jong-pil on Saturday and paid a visit to Hahue village in Gyeongsang-buk-do province, the traditional stronghold of the ruling Saenuri Party. And this, of course, added fuel to the already strong speculation about a potential run. Now, the 3 North Koreans that recently escaped from a North Korean restaurant in China will reportedly enter South Korea sometime this week. Citing sources well acquainted with North Korea, Seoul-based Yonhap news agency reported Monday that the defectors currently in Thailand are waiting for an agreement between Seoul and Bangkok, as some of the North Koreans do not possess passports, perhaps all of them even. South Korean media reported last week that 3 North Koreans working at a North Korean restaurant in the northwestern city of Xi'an escaped after being influenced by the mass defection of 13 North Koreans last month. Seoul's Unification Ministry has refused to comment on the details of the latest case. Now in economic news, and confidence among South Korean manufacturers remained rather subdued in May. According to the Bank of Korea, the business survey index came to 71. That's unchanged from the previous month, and a reading below the benchmark 100 means pessimists outnumber optimists, so much more pessimists than optimists. But conglomerates were slightly less pessimistic, with the index adding 2 points on month, while small and mid-sized companies, their confidence actually edged down 1 point. All in all, manufacturers cited weak domestic consumption, uncertainties in the economic situation, as well as slowing exports as some of the lingering difficulties. Now, employees in Korea are less likely to get replaced by robots compared to other OECD member nations. According to an OECD analysis released earlier this month, 9% of all jobs in 21 member nations face a high automatability. Of the studied nations, Korea had a relatively low proportion of jobs at high risk at 6%, along with Estonia. The corresponding figure for Germany, Australia and Spain was estimated at 12%, and they were the highest among the member nations. According to the OECD paper, differences between countries may reflect differences in workplace organisation, previous investments in automated technologies and the education level of workers. One of the government's creative economy initiatives is encouraging young people in Korea to make something out of nothing by setting up their own businesses. To help them turn ideas into viable business models, the government has been running startup programs throughout the country. Our Oh Se-young with the details.
It's been said that every generation needs a revolution.
청년들이야말로 바로 대한민국의 미래입니다. 창의적 사고와 혁신적 도전 정신이 우리 경제 전반으로 확산되도록 하는 것도 매우 중요한 과제입니다.
Throughout her term in office, President Park Geun-hye has pushed for the creation of policies and programs to support young people and their entrepreneurial aspirations. One of these is the Youth Startup Academy, set up in 2011 to train aspiring entrepreneurs under 39 years of age.
Students are provided with our one-stop assistance during all stages of creating a business, from product development to marketing, as well as grants of up to 70% of their business expenses.
The Academy has produced more than 1,200 business leaders in the past 5 years, creating almost 5,000 jobs through the companies they've started. The government is also working with big players in the private sector to support youth startups. One example is the e-commerce Dream project, co-organised by Korea's biggest online portal, Naver. It helps participants set up online retail businesses on Naver's e-commerce platform, with step-by-step tutorials on designing and managing their shops and marketing their products. There were roughly 700 participants last year, and almost half of them went on to launch their own businesses.
The project helps participants practice setting up an online business from start to finish. We hope this will make them realize that it doesn't have to be a difficult process, and developing good products based on original ideas can succeed without huge amounts of money.
These are just a few of the government's programs helping young people turn their ideas into ventures. Through these efforts, the number of young entrepreneurs has grown over the years. And with the government's incubation centres, startup programs and support, growing your own company has never been easier. Oh Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, the industry's push to make smartphones cooler and lighter has taken yet another step closer to reality. Local researchers have developed technology that allows screens to be folded easily and in a way that doesn't affect display quality. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
How could smartphones look in the future? Perhaps the screen could curl as if made out of paper, making it lighter and easier to carry. That future may be closer than we think. A local research group says it has developed a core technology that can make displays fold easily by using transparent rubber that has a web of electrodes on the areas that fold. That way, the display quality would remain the same when folded, and it would not leave a scratch when unfolded again.
We've placed electrodes just at the bridges connecting the displays so they could increase the elasticity of the folding screens.
The expert adds that technology could also help developers to create large displays by connecting smaller screens without producing blind spots that typically affect larger displays. He also says that tech could also be useful in the development of wearable devices. Kim Jeon, Arirang News.
The number of deaths from indoor air pollution is even higher than that from all other kinds of pollutants combined. A recent report by the UN Environment Programme says that 4.3 million people die from indoor air pollution every year, out of the 7 million deaths annually caused by all kinds of atmospheric pollution. The main cause cited was prolonged exposure to solid fuels such as coal for cooking, which can lead to respiratory conditions or heart disease. The vast majority of deaths from household air pollution are in Southeast Asia and Africa, where people are more reliant on coal for fuel. Experts say that airing out rooms is very important, as poor ventilation can cause pollutants to accumulate. Now, as you can see on the screen behind me, most of Korea is under bad levels of fine dust on this Monday. The Environment Ministry says air stagnation is causing elevated levels of fine dust to linger over Seoul and the central region in particular, so best to wear a mask if you're heading out. Weather-wise, it's going to be another hot day. A heat wave warning has been issued for Gyeongsang-do province, and the mercury in cities like Daegu and Gwangju will top 30 degrees Celsius today. The nation's weather agency is urging people to take good care of their health due to the big temperature difference between morning and afternoon. And on that note, that's where we're going to leave it for this Monday afternoon here in Seoul. Thank you, as always, for watching, and we'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Our next scheduled bulletin coming up at 3 p.m. Korea time. So, until then, goodbye.